Fuck, we got
Hello, everyone. We're doing our West Coast immersion on autonomous driving technology as it relates to Waymo, one of the companies we visited on our trip. This is our team, and I'm going to be going into the technological evolution of autonomous driving. So the S curve for autonomous driving is something that's just beginning to take off. Um, and the adoption is something that's in its early adoption phase as certain cities are allowing Waymo and have Waymos on the streets, but it is being offered at a premium price. So only those who really value that are taking advantage of it. Next slide. As for where Waymo is having disruptive innovation, it is in both the traditional car market as well as the ride-sharing market. These are two markets that are at the peak, kind of at the end of their S curves, with ride-sharing kind of having a dominant design. Same traditional car has had a dominant design for decades. And Waymo's kind of trying to innovate on this, and they've kind of reach L4 automation, which is better than human drivers in certain situations, but they face barriers with regulations, skepticism, as well as limitations in technology. Next slide. And then as for dominant design, they kind of have not reached a dominant design for autonomous cars with differences in sensors such as LiDAR and some using LiDAR and normal cameras and some only using normal stereo cameras. And this could lead to price discrimination with certain companies using price discrimination for all right, should we keep going? Certain companies using price discrimination for different offerings, either using LiDAR or normal cameras. And then it kind of offers the opportunity to fully take the market if it can easily integrate with existing cars.
Yep. Talking about modularity and platforms, so Waymo's current approach to autonomous vehicles is built on a custom platform that integrates seamlessly into diverse vehicle designs. So instead of manufacturing its own cars, Waymo partners with top automakers like Jaguar and Chrysler to kind of co-develop custom AVs. So at the heart of their strategy is the proprietary Waymo Driver, which is a highly integrated hardware and software platform. And this manufacturer agnostic approach enables Waymo to focus solely on their core technology while adapting it to multiple use cases. And this approach also supports a wide range of applications from ride hailing and fleet operation to logistics. And this emphasis on vertical integration through collaboration allows it to blend its cutting edge technology with partner expertise, creating a smart and scalable way to lead in this industry. So AV technology exhibits key traits of a general purpose technology, like pervasiveness across industries, rapid advancements in hardware and AI, and its role as an innovation catalyst. However, it still remains in the early stages with challenges like achieving economies of scale, societal adoption, and global adaptability that needs to be addressed. So to achieve broader impact, AV must expand into different sectors like freight logistics, food delivery, and emergency services, while also advancing its AI and sensor technologies to enhance the scalability and affordability. And this kind of raises the question of, does the future of AVs lie in scaling fully autonomous vehicles, or is it in adopting modular systems that can be retrofitted, which is kind of aligning with GPT characteristics? And then looking to the future, as leaders like Waymo and Tesla navigate these challenges, the question still remains, well, will this ever evolve into a true GPT which transforms daily life, or will it remain a specialized solution for specific industries?
Perfect. So I will jump into some of the industry players and go into winners, and then Maria will go into some of the losers in AV. So jumping into the winners, these are six categories that we wanted to touch on. So starting with Waymo, which we visited over West Coast Immersion, they have the early mover advantage in the US, starting with San Francisco and the West Coast. They have very extensive partnerships, and then they also have Google's backing and support, which has really allowed them to be successful. And then from a global perspective, Baidu or Apollo Go is pretty much the leader in China and globally, and they operate in over 10 cities with millions of rides, giving them the scale advantage. And they also have favorable regulatory conditions in China, which has been really helpful for their expansion. Going into Tesla, they're another US leader. They have integrated vehicles with driver technology, and they're very specific to the market segment, so which allows basically greater ownership. And then Uber has partnered up with Waymo in 2023. So I believe their goal is to be the AV ride sharing application. And Waymo has also benefited from the partnership with Uber. And then going into tech collaborators, a lot of tech collaborators for suppliers of sensors, AI, and processing have benefited from AV. And then communities as well, in the long term, will benefit from improved safety, environmental sustainability, and the early adopters will benefit from the improved reputation and innovative reputation. And then I'll hand over to Maria.
Thanks so much, Naz. Yeah, so let's talk about some losers in this field. And I hate to say the word losers, but there are definitely some industries that could take it upon themselves somewhat to transform and actually participate in this really important market. You can see that in all three categories here, we're talking about traditional automakers, their suppliers and distributors, and then the auto workers actually involved in this industry as well. So traditionally, these companies have been slow to innovate and integrate new technologies. Very few of them are integrating even the para-vehicle or piloting technology that Waymo has developed. Few of them are participating in M&A opportunities and really in transformation overall in transportation, as that's shifting towards more public and more automated versions of transportation in general, especially after COVID. There are definitely some outliers, however. So GM acquired Cruise a few years ago, and it's still to be determined how that partnership will evolve. The same thing with BMW and some tech partners. And then obviously the Waymo partners that have participated, Chrysler, Stellantis, Mercedes, Jaguar, and Volvo, all are traditional automakers that are really embracing this automated piloting technology. Traditional auto suppliers and distributors, such as gas companies, obviously, and manufacturers, suppliers, distributors, have traditionally also ignored AV technology. In part, it's not really within their scope, so that makes sense. However, through either partnerships, collaborations, or investment, they definitely could participate more or simply transform what they do to keep up with the times. Notable outliers include Bosch, Samsung, Hamamatsu, and even Bay, which is a German rental car service that's really leaning into AV technology. And then let's talk about the human element with auto workers. There's a lot of auto workers, not just drivers, but even those that are participating in auto manufacturing, line workers, for example, and those that distribute and build cars. So imagine even the folks that are working in car dealerships, for example. Their worlds and their lives may transform pretty significantly. There are some participants in the industry, including either industry sponsors or universities and technical programs that are helping mechanics, for example, retrain or to enable drivers to participate, like Bay, for example. Even many of these automated vehicle technology solutions do go through a phase in which they use human pilots in order to help pilot the automated vehicles. So there's really a lot of space for transformation and for participation. These losers could easily transform into winners in this industry. And next, we'll move on to Gayatri and I think it's Darpan for the next part of this in the future.
Thank you, Maria. For the future, I'm going to talk about the tech development and the key success factors required in this market. Right now, as my colleagues mentioned, we're looking at technology L4 being very present in many areas based under certain limitations. And we're looking at an expansion going from L4 to L5 in a gradual manner. And we'll also see an increased integration of AI into the vehicle services to improve features and the safety. That said, this will also help evolve the industry standards. For instance, there will be different regulations based on whether the car is being driven in a smart city or not, and if it's a car or if it's other kind of transportation vehicle. With a regulation controlling how the ride experience is going to be, the in-vehicle experience within the vehicle is going to become a competitive advantage. And with all of these factors changing in the technology landscape, this will call for greater collaboration between automakers, tech companies, and regulators. Therefore, to succeed in this market, the ability to navigate regulatory landscapes, which keeps evolving pretty fast with the technology, strong partnerships across the automotive and tech ecosystems, and the ability to manage the perception and trust in the tech from the public, and of course, continuously making sure that the technology is updated and innovation continues to happen in the space become key factors. Now I hand over to Darpan.
We see an entire new ecosystem emerging as AV technology progresses. There is the core driving experience itself, but beyond that, we also believe there's going to be a suite of developers analogous to mobile development, where there are companies and individuals contributing to the experience of driving. So we believe there's going to be a new class of app developer equivalents for cars that are going to emerge and that are going to be well positioned to capture a lot of value. Looking at the core driving experience itself, we believe that for commercial classes, there are new robo-taxi entrants that will come up that will have an edge over existing players because they lead with AVs as opposed to being bogged down by governance issues that could plague a lot of existing commercial taxi services. On the flip side, existing incumbents in cargo and logistics services are well positioned to win in this ecosystem because there's an acute need they have for drivers that the AV technology solves really well, thereby incentivizing them to be early adopters. Looking at the OEMs, we see companies that have taken strategic bets, such as Jaguar and Mercedes, in the development of AV to lead the way. We also believe that there are going to be significant winners in the hardware layer, NVIDIA being one prominent example, but there could also be more companies in the future supplying new kinds of parts and chips to these cars. So overall, we see an entire ecosystem develop along the entire value chain of AV technology. And like Gayatri mentioned, there are success factors that could determine who wins and who doesn't at different levels that vary from each other. So this is the overall analysis of the AV technology. We hope you've enjoyed the journey as we've driven through all the different contours of how the landscape is going to play out. Thank you.